everybody, it's Wyvern here with another bit of Total War, Warhammer 2, Quick Match gameplay. This time around we are playing as the Empire against the High Elves on the Crack of Karkin. So, if you look at this comp, basically none of the units I have in my army got a buff this past batch. Carl did. Carl got 3 more melee defense. But besides that, I decided to bring basically a pretty old school army, or old school equipped army. But with the consideration that I need to have a solution for Sister of Avalorn. I used to do a bit of my old build that really worked well against High Elves relied on greatswords, because High Elves of course don't have AP. They didn't have AP shooting really, and unless they invested super heavily in AP infantry, which then would leave them vulnerable to cav and that sort of stuff, they basically didn't have the options to shut down your greatswords. But with the new patch, the High Elves have a lot of AP shooting now. They've got Sisters of Avalorn, so I figured, you know what, might as well try something new. And so here we go. For my lord, I decided to bring Carl, giving me some AP anti-large, because otherwise I don't have too much of it in this. Well, I do have some of it in this army, but I don't have too much AP in general in this army. And I figured he's better than Boris just for that AP. He does have some, at least in this situation, he does have 90 charge bonus. He's got 100 armor, a little bit of HP, and of course the Galmaraz as well as the Reichland Runefang. So some good AoE buffs between Stand Your Ground, Reichland Runefang. He is immune to psychology, so just an all-around pretty decent support lord. Alongside him, we do have a Jade Wizard coming in with Regrowth, Earthblood, Life Bloom, and Power Stone. So, once again, kind of the usual Lore of Life equipment. However, it's not something I really have used much in a long time. I haven't really used Lore of Life. I've been using other lores lately. So, definitely going back to some old school strats. Frontline of Swordsmen, backed by Sigmar's Sons, who actually, I should have mentioned, these guys got a nerf to their melee defense, but got a buff, or got 50 gold cheaper. So I think that was an overall buff for them, or an improvement. They are flanked by there are 3 units of Spearmen with shields out on the periphery, 2 units of Demigrave Knights with halberds providing some AP anti-large, and then for my shooting contingent I brought a single unit of silver bullets to give some flexible AP range, and 2 mortars to shut down enemy shooting, because I figured against High Elves, you know what, these guys can be decent, especially now that the High Elves are probably going to be shifting to a more shooting heavy meta. You can see over here the Reiksguard camped out in the woods. These guys of course are decent against High Elves as well. The High Elves don't have too many options to kill them quick, except for, once again, Sisters of Avalorn, Phoenix Guard. But otherwise, not really too much. You can see the artillery, the mortars already teeing off. They are veteraned up very slightly. Teeing off on my opponent's glob, which is front line of veteran spears, backed by 2 Sisters of Avalorn, one of which is the Regiment of Renown, providing additional wins. Honestly, I think this is a bit of a mistake, I think, on my opponent's part. They're very expensive for what they do. Now, granted, here they're very heavily buffed, but one of their big selling points is extra power recharge rate, which is completely wasted against when you don't have a caster. And my opponent didn't bring a caster with this build. Front line, 2 white lines of Krace. Backing that up, he does also have a unit of Shadow Warriors as well as the Grey. At the center of everything, he does have Alathanar as well as a Handmaiden of the Everqueen, providing huge buffs in an AoE to rate of fire. I do believe it's plus 20 reload skill, plus 10 and plus 5 reload skill on the Handmaiden, so you're looking at plus 35. That's roughly 40% improvement to reload speed. That's huge, and it's actually going to be even more on the Everqueen's Court Guards, because it scales. If you watch my tutorial video on this, it scales even better. You can see the reload time is ludicrously low. And yeah, in the back, my opponent also does have 2 Illyrian Reavers, most likely to provide some interdiction, but definitely he's not relying on these guys to win any cavalry engagement. You can see, though, the mortar is coming in hot and heavy, doing quite a bit of damage to the front line, though not really raking any kills just yet. You can see another volley coming in, and you can see I'm pushing out with my infantry. You might be wondering why I do that. Well, I don't want my opponent to get within range of my mortars. If he does, I'm going to start taking damage on my mortars. You can see already 3 Sisters of Avalorn beaten up, and the other thing is that as the mortar chips off HP, these guys are going to lose their martial prowess, which is going to reduce their melee stats, make it easier for the rest of my troops to kill them. But I do want to keep the engagement somewhere around here, far enough away from my mortars where the Sisters can't shoot them, close enough to where I can support with some effective mortar fire. And you can see I'm already pushing my cavalry out to the periphery, but trying to stay clear of the dangerous arcs of the archers. My opponent has spread out as much as he possibly can, but the mortar's fire is still coming in hot and heavy, just destroying these Sisters and sending them flying. You can see you can be the most skilled warrior you want to be, but there's only so much you can do against the might of gunpowder. Either way, Earthblood going down on the front line, keeping these guys in the fight. You can see it's hitting multiple units here. Swordsmen won't win against white lines, but you know what? They'll do okay. Carl does dive into the spears here, providing some additional support. And you can see the mortars continue barraging these sisters, just wiping them out. They've only got 40 armor, and they're very quickly getting destroyed. You can see I've split the fire between my mortars. One unit going after the Queen's Courtyard, one unit going after the Sisters of Avalorn, the vanilla variant. On the periphery, my opponent has broken my swords very quickly, so I'm going to be forced to pull my spears. I do pull the Demigryph Knights with halberds in, and this is a little bit of a mistake because my opponent sees this and opens fire with his Everqueen's Courtyard, and I heavily underestimated how much fire we'd be able to generate, and my Demigryph Knights with halberds are going to get wiped before they can get very far. However, the mortars continue raining down, death and destruction. You can see the Sisters of Avalorn here already down. They've lost their martial prowess. The bonus to melee attacks is because they're near the Handmaiden, but they're just getting wiped. You can see on this flank where there's no archer support, the Reichsguard are completely grinding the Illyrian Reavers under. They'll slaughter them in short order. Honestly, over here, the white lines are not doing too great against the Swordmen. It's taking them a while. You can see the Reichland Runefang helping out, Carl pushing through the center. Unfortunately, this flank is completely buckled for me, so I'm pulling these spears and trying to intercept and save my Reichsguard or my Demigryph Knights before they get wiped. My opponent, though, does have the Grey here, who do have fire from Stalk, which is a bit wasted here. You can see my opponent completely wiping these guys. He's just able to turn around, and he's just a monstrous rate of fire. And he's just unloading on my poor Demigryph Knights here, and they're really not able to close the gap. Perhaps Demigryph Knights with shields might be the way to go. I don't really know, but either way, you can see mortar fire continues to rain down. These Sisters of Avalorn have already lost half models and most of their HP. Demigryph Knights do close, but unfortunately, a bit of an I don't know what happened. Why they just stopped attacking here. I might have not given them an attack move. I'm not entirely sure why, but either way, they stop, and they are going to get routed because they're getting shot. So bye-bye to Demigryph Knights. On this flank, though, Spearmen are holding these white lines of grace. My opponent does sneak these Illyrian Reavers through while I wasn't paying too much attention, and is going to be able to get on my mortars, but the mortars, you can see, just destroying the Everqueen's Courtyard, doing immense amounts of work. And they're losing entire models at this point, so that's a big problem for them. You can see over here, the mortars are going to get shut down. They're going to get swamped by Illyrian Reavers, but I do have spears nearby, and the silver bullets who are going to start unloading on them. Not silver bullets. I actually forgot about my silver bullets, and I should have pushed them back forward earlier. But you can see the Illyrian Reavers here, once snagged by the spears, once snagged by silver bullet fire, are not going to last very long, and they're getting routed incredibly quickly. On the periphery, in the meantime, you can see Carl is doing his best to shut down my opponent's shooting. You can see he takes a few volleys from the Everqueen's Courtyard. He's probably getting shot by the Handmaiden, by Alathanar, but I'm just trying to shut these guys down. I want him to stop shooting and let the mortar keep doing its work. And you can see it is about to do some more of Sigmar's blessed work on these pansy elves, and in comes the barrage of artillery fire. I'm not entirely sure how accurate it's going to be, but you know what? You can see. There we go. Clipping the edges of that formation, but still raking in several hundred damage. You can see the Everqueen's Courtyard getting beaten down. Carl is taking quite a bit of hurt in response, but we're getting our mortars back online. My opponent's line is slowly but surely buckling. The Spearmen are losing to the Sigmar Sons. Over here, they're losing as well. Now, granted, these white lines almost broke through, but with the help of spears, they've been plugged. And over here, the Reichsguard continues to run amok, destroying the Sister of Avalorn. They're up to 60-some kills at this point. Front line is buckled, so now it's just the Shadow Warriors. You can see a recharge from the regrouped Demigryph Knights is going to absolutely pound these Everqueen's Courtyard. You can see Earthblood going down, healing Carl, and more importantly, perhaps healing the Demigryph Knights. On the periphery, the white lines bogged down by Empire infantry, the state troops holding the bitter end, and artillery fire continues to rain death and destruction on those elves. I'm not entirely sure whether that shot was going, but we're definitely doing some work. And you can see Carl here diving in on the Handmaiden. She does have a bonus for Slarge, because she does have that spear there. But really against Carl, she doesn't stand much of a chance, especially as my opponent isn't letting her engage. So Carl just flailing his hammer around Galmaraz, and it's as old as the Empire itself. So come on, how much older can an elf be? You know, it's an ancient weapon. It's probably an ancient elf, doing pretty good. Over here, Sigmar Sons bogged down Alathanar. I think a pretty good use of them. Here, the Shadow Warriors who were trying to outpace my swordsmen are getting barraged by mortars, so using the swords to continue pressuring them. Unfortunately, here I stopped moving, and this bit of a mistake on my part, but what can you do? The mortar continues hounding him and doing quite a bit of work. And shortly I do believe I noticed the swordsmen, but at that point it really doesn't matter, as my opponent's army simply shatters to army losses. Up here you can see the spears. I did get some rear charges into the white lines. There was still a unit of healthy spears, but really my opponent's army at this point was basically wiped, and I still had a good amount of ammo to go. So, what to say for this build? I think it's decent, honestly. One thing I'd consider perhaps doing is I think Reichsguard might actually be. I think maybe dropping one unit of Demigryph Halberds for Reichsguard and doing a switcher, getting one unit of Royal Elf Griffites might be a better idea. Just get Fear and Terror in the mix, while at the same time still bring shields and heavy armor and better performance against squishy infantry with Reichsguard. And honestly, most high elf melee troops don't have the greatest armor. Even the ones with more armor, like like White Lines of Crates only have 90. Swordmasters of Oath only have 90. Really, only Phoenix Guard sits at 100 with 30% physical resist. So you can get some good value out of Reichsguard against all the everything else. And if the worst case against Phoenix Guard, you can shoot him down with Silver Bullet Fire, rear charge him, cycle charge him, that sort of stuff. It's not likely your opponent's going to bring a mob of Phoenix Guard. The Mortars did a great job. 32 and 34 kills. Almost all of those against Shadow Warriors and Sister of Avalorn. Definitely decent. Keep in mind, the Mortars, even with coming in with 3 chevrons as they did, were still cheaper than a unit of... and they did a lot of HP damage. You can see this one actually gained a chevron over the course of the game. They're still cheaper than a normal unit of Shadow Warriors, much less these regiments of Renown with all their crazy buffs and all that sort of stuff. I think definitely the black powder can do you some favors in this situation. Granted, I could have honestly, against these new compacted sort of builds High Elves are doing, a lot of High Elf players you'll see are going to do a sort of, I don't want to say cheese, but they basically focus everything into reload skill. They bring Alethanar, they bring a Handmaiden, they bring a whole bunch of Sisters of Avalorn, and they blob everything up because they need to stay close. I think, honestly, I don't know. I might have to give it a shot, though. Hellstorm rocket batteries might have a field day with those. I might have to give them a try sometime. But as for the rest of the build, I was pleased with the performance of the spears, the swords. There wasn't too much to expect there. The Reichsguard did a great job. The Demigryphonites I was less pleased with. Now, granted, they did some good work on the end-game rear charge, but before then, they got shot down pretty hard by the Withering Fire from the Sisters, and I don't know. It might be worthwhile to bring normal Demigryphs. I'll have to give it a try, I think. Try normal Demigryphs. I'm not entirely sure how well they do against Dragon Princes. I'm less concerned about their bonus about how they can deal with, say, dragons or something like that, but Dragon Princes are a somewhat common pick in this meta, or this matchup, so definitely I'd like to see how they do in that situation, but otherwise, Demigryphs are pretty solid. Or Demigryphs with Halberds didn't do too well here, so I don't know. Carl Franz did good. Jade Wizard, well, not much to expect there. He's a Jade Wizard. For my opponent's build, obviously it's a little bit gimmicky with the massive shootings centered around Alethanar. I think a major mistake my opponent made was bringing the Regiment of Renowned Sister of Avalorn, and honestly bringing the Grey as well. You don't, unless you're going for a heavily kite-oriented build, or you have something specific to do. When you're going for my opponent basically went with a conventional build, and he didn't bring the caster. So the Sister of Avalorn, the Everqueen's Court Guard's special ability essentially got wasted throughout this game. Granted, they got a bigger boost from the rate of fire and buffs, but I don't think that's worth the 300 gold. They're more expensive than the Everqueen's Court Guards, or the normal Sister of Avalorn, sorry. That's 300 gold you could have put towards something else, and similarly, I don't think the Grey was really worth it over a normal unit of Shadow Warriors in this situation, where you're just trying to go for a shooty build. I really think that's honestly all I have to say. I don't think there's too much else. But if you're going for such a heavy shooting build like this one, really, you're not going to get a much better build than this. But I definitely my opponent could have gotten an extra unit of spears in there or something like that by dropping these 2 regiments of Renown down, because there was really not too much a reason, I think, to bring them in with such high veterancy. The Maneuvers did an okay job, or one of them did. The other one got completely dumpstered by Reichsguard, which is just not a fight they should be taking. There's not much else to say there. But yeah, good game. I definitely think this is actually fairly viable, at least as far as a starting comp, and maybe I'll have to evolve it more, but I definitely think this is a fairly viable Empire comp against the High Elves, and yeah. There's not much else to say. I do hope you guys enjoyed the video. I do hope you found it entertaining, and if you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe down below. If you have any comments, any criticisms, any questions, anything like that, be sure to share them, and I'll respond as soon as I can. As usual, guys, I do appreciate you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Over now.